All right, all right, all right. Okay, it's about that time again. Okay, so today I have so much I want to talk about. I have so much I want to talk about. Okay, so firstly, I want to talk about these two things, two concepts that I want to, I guess, articulate to myself and I guess leave you guys with. Um, The first one is prison walls. I'm going to be talking about prison walls, which include pain, suffering, death, and fear. Those are the four prison walls. That's something that it's called, that I've coined, that I will be articulating today. And then a second thing that I would like to articulate, this is, I can't take credit for this one. Um, this one is called Ikigai, or sorry, wrong. That's something else. Ikigai, sorry. That's what this is called. And Ikigai is basically what I like to call, in my version, I call that, what did I write it here? Life's four walls. So basically today it's going to be the prison four walls versus life's four walls. And Ikigai talks about joy, mission, vocation, and profession. So basically, this is a yin and yang, dark and light, happiness and, oh, sorry, sadness and happiness kind of um, video journal. And yeah, so I have notes. Yo, why am I feeling so hot? I hate that I'm wearing a spaghetti strap, but we're here now. Ain't nobody got time to go and change. So, anyways, right. What are we going to talk about? Okay. So there's a couple of things, right? I firstly, oh, I need to get my diary. I have to start this thing all over again. Okay, I come back. I come back. All right. So the first point that I had put on here is that I wanted to refer to my diary. So my beautiful love diary. It's so ironic that I have a diary with hearts and no Valentine. Wow. What a year, what a year. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the 31st. Okay, I said I wanted to refer to the 31st of Jan till the 1st of Feb. So that's the first thing I'm going to start with. That's where I'm going to start. And then from there, I'm going to lead into the prison four walls. And then from there, I'm going to lead into life's four walls. Okay, so how I usually structure my diary is like background music, mood, status, course of the day, and then any other like things that are in my mind that I just need to, note down. So, firstly, the first thing I noted is that I need to read a book called Becoming Like God. And since then, because I mean, that was the 31st of Jan, today is, what date is it today? What's the date? It's the 3rd of Feb, right? So, since then, I have gotten and listened to that book. So I read and listen to books all the time, constantly. Always have a book next to me. I mean, there's a book right next to me now. Every room in this house has a book. So I have started listening to that while I was hiking, so that was nice. And then background music is Be Alive. This song is a great way of describing what it feels like once you've conquered Ikigai and once you live in life's four walls instead of living in prison's walls. Okay, so the status here is Ikigai, right? Ikigai is basically life purpose or reason to live, basically, and it's a Japanese way of life where they basically focus and live in the four walls, life's four walls, as I've coined it, but they use joy, mission, vocation, and profession to basically that is their life's purpose, right? And each person can figure out what their own life's purpose is using these four concepts, these four things, ikigai, right? So, Iki stands for life. Gai means reason, right? So, life's reason, basically. And basically, when we say joy, we basically mean that um, you do what you love, right? Live in the moment and find joy everywhere. mission is what the world needs, your purpose, your contribution. Vocation, do what you're good at. Profession, what you get paid for, right? So this is just an overview because I'm going to go deeper into this. So yeah, that's essentially where we're going to start. And then this is what I also noted on this day, right? On this day I basically wrote, judge yourself and hold yourself accountable for the life that you lead based on the person you have become, right? Because you the life the point in time that you're at now is as a result of the things and the environment that you've had, right? And you have to become a certain type of person in order to survive that kind of environment. So basically, what I mean by that is that hold yourself accountable and judge yourself, judge that person because you didn't know better, you didn't have resources, you didn't, know what it was that was going on around you. Let's take, for an example, somebody who is going through emotional abuse. Sometimes you don't know you're going through emotional abuse until you speak to someone and they say, friend, I don't think that's normal, or you see other people, you see other relationships, or other mother daughter relationships or father son relationship, whatever the context of the relationship is, but you see other relationships and you say, I don't really get that in mine, or I wish I had that, right? That is that the external part. The internal part is, why don't I have that? Why don't I work towards that? Why haven't I worked towards that? Why am I keeping this person around if they're not giving me that? That's the part that you need to be working on. That's the part that's important because that's the part that actually gives you knowledge or wisdom to make a decision for what it is that you actually want for your life. So that's what I mean. Judge yourself and hold yourself accountable for the life you lead based on the person you have become. I had to repeat that. Release your mind from the person you have had to become to survive. I'm not going to articulate that. I mean, it speaks for itself. But first, judge that person and choose what you keep. So you first judge, like I've done. First, judge all the things you don't like. Judge the things you like. Why do you like those things? Why do you dislike those things? Why are you this person? What are your triggers? Why did, sometimes someone will upset you and you say, oh, you offended me. But you don't think, why did I find that offensive? You know, we spend so much time saying, oh, don't offend me, don't offend me, don't offend me, don't offend me. But you don't actually take that inwards and say, why does this offend me? Same thing, even if you're jealous of someone, even if it's a negative emotion, you're like jealous of your friend or something like that. That should be an indicator. Judge it. Why do I have that feeling? Don't try to suppress it and make it go away. That's not that the human thing is to want things that you want. So the part that it becomes, I guess, evil is if it goes into envy, because envy is an action. Jealousy is an emotion, you feel it, but if you're not doing anything about it, then you're just jealous. But if you're envious of someone, that one has a conniving, you know, you know, connotation to it. But yeah, anyways, I don't want to get too much into that. You create your character, right? So I'm going to explain this through my moral compass. So, as I've said in previous videos, my moral compass is rich, right? Which is my last name on my social medias. So, rich stands for respect, integrity, character, and honor, right? Respect the person you are. Firstly, respect yourself. Are you living in a way that is respectful, right? Um, Meaning, when people disrespect you or ill treat you, how do you respect yourself? When someone is disrespecting you, how do you disrespect? When someone is disrespecting you, how are you respecting yourself? Because that is an action that is outside of yourself, right? However, how you respond is your decision. So, if let's take someone was disrespectful to you, if you internalize that, you continue the disrespect. But if you know, question it and say, why does that person disrespectful? Or if you externally tell that person, listen, that's disrespectful. That is a way of you respecting yourself. Or even you having an internal dialogue to say, I'm not going to internalize this because it's got nothing to do with me. That is you respecting yourself. Integrity. Are you thinking and saying what you do? People, I'm going to take gossip because gossip is like the easiest way and the most prevalent thing that everyone does. And it's actually the way, the biggest obstacle, obstacle between you and who you truly are, because it's such a distraction. So, for an example, I'll take gossip, right? People who can speak about other who can speak about someone and say, let me take a practical example. Okay, so I had a work friend, and they heard something from someone else, and instead of speaking to me about it, and us having a conversation, figuring out what was actually said, they decided to take that and as golden, right? What is funny about that is that that was gossip, right? And had she respected our relationship, and had she been moving in integrity, we could have easily had a conversation to say, hey, listen, this was said, I don't know where this is coming from. Do you agree that you said this? Like, what was the context? None of this conversation didn't happen, right? That's what I would expect if you're saying that we are best friends, right? So um anyways, this happens, and then we never end up having a conversation about it, because for me, if there was an issue, you'd raise it with me and not raise it with other people. So that was me moving in respect for myself and integrity, because I know what was actually said, and I know that I'm someone who always does and think and who always does what they say, right? So like, if it's just one of my brands, man. Like, integrity is such an important thing for me. Like, I don't participate in gossip for that very reason. So that's another way. Like, I think that's enough of an example there. Character. That's what C stands for. So character is basically, how do I explain this one? Um, Character is the person that you've created, right? This is not the person who you've become, because the person who you've become is reactional, right? It's what you become to survive. It's based on the external stimulus and your response to that. But what I'm talking about is more proactive. It's you proactively creating a character, saying that, I am someone of integrity, so I will not participate in X. I am someone who holds myself with respect and holds others with respect, so I will not participate on X. That is what a character is. It's having, morals, boundaries, what is for you, what is not for you. But you can only create a character once you have judged yourself. You can't create a character without judging yourself fully in every respect. Good things, bad things, good, ugly. See yourself for who you truly are. And that's the only way you can then say, these are things I like about myself, these are the things I don't like about myself. And also, mind you, make sure that it's about you, right? Sometimes people don't like things about you, but that has nothing to do with you. So it might be a thing that you don't mind about yourself. So, for an example, I'm impatient. I am not a patient person. You will never find me in a line by choice. Okay. So, because I know I'm impatient, some people have made it seem as if impatience is an evil thing, and you need to just learn to be patient, and you need to just do better. Like, you know. But for me, instead of doing that, I've taken it and said, okay, I am impatient, right? What can I do about this to make it easier for myself? So I lean into it. This is part of my character now. It's okay for me to be impatient. But then how do I respond to that? As proactively, not reactionally. Reactionally would be, oh, you're tapping your feet, you visibly showing that you're impatient. But that has nothing to do with the other person. Your impatience is your own. So what I do, I will make an appointment to make sure I'm not in a line. I will, if there's a restaurant we're going to, I will book a reservation so that I'm again not in a line. I will buy things online so that I don't have to go into the store and stand in a queue. I haven't been in a mall by choice constantly to buy clothes in a very long time. So it's things like that I work around to work around that part of my character. because it doesn't bother me that I'm impatient, but I'm not going to try to then bother other people because I'm impatient, right? That is what character is. And that is what integrity as well is. That's another example of integrity, because I'm not taking what's mine and making it someone else's problem. That's not integrity. Anyways, H, rich, right? H is not it, it's escaping me now. My own name, honor. Come on. Yo, I literally just blanked for a second. Honor. So honor is basically, let me just have my coffee. So honor is basically what honor is. I love that it's getting cold now. It's giving iced coffee. Honor is basically um me then honoring how I respect integrity, how I respect, basically I honor then my character. That's how I see it. I honor my character. And what is my character? Someone who moves with respect, someone who moves with integrity. So it it basically honors all the other three. And how do I make an example of honoring myself? So going back to that example where I had a work friend who, took someone else's comment as the truth, right? So in that situation, because I knew that had happened, and that was the reason for, like, the turmoil in our relationship, which was never discussed with me, but because I knew that, and I knew it was like its own cycle of chaos that had nothing to do with me, I then was like, I'm not going to participate in the cycle of chaos. I'm not going to try to prove to you that I didn't say those things. I'm not going to try to prove to you that I had no ill intention. Like, you clearly had ill intention, because you threw away a 3-year relationship. So there's nothing more for me to try to prove. So I think there's so many times where we're trying to prove things to people, and it's not necessary. It really isn't. A lot of the times it's got nothing to do with you. And yeah, I've learned a lot from all the relationships that I've had, and I honor all the relationships that I had. That's why I will never, even though that relationship ended, I will never speak ill of her, which is why I'm not even mentioning who she is. I mean, some people might be able to make an inference. That's none of my business. But again, that is me. I literally gave very cliff note things that had nothing to do with her as a person. So I'm just not that kind of person. That's just not me. So again, it goes back to rich. Who am I? What's my moral compass? You have to create that. That doesn't just come to you, right? You don't just become a person. You create a person. You build a person. You build the person that you want to be. And I've been doing that for years. And now it's gonna look like it happened overnight. But people have been watching me for years, going to the gym, posting the word affirmations, reading the books, posting my podcasts that I listen to, most being motivational, right? People will see that and then be surprised at the person that I've become today. It's all the same thing. Some of us are working and others aren't. Some of us are working on the right things. Other people are, well, maybe not. We forget that this is all the same thing. When you work on yourself, you're also working on the money that you want to make, the career you want to build, the family you want to have. It's all the same thing. And I think we think that we don't have time. A lot of the time we say we don't have time. But how can you not have time for yourself when this is your life given to you as a gift from God, and you say you don't have time for the reason you're here? So you have time for your boss and strangers and other people who tell you, oh yeah, me, give me attention. You have time for that. But the actual reason you're here, the actual priority. Yeah. Anyways, so the reason why I explained rich was because I wanted to explain this next part in my diary, which is living rich, right? Living rich is one of the few things in life that you can get to control. So with that, I mean that once you've created your character, or create, even the process of creating your character is the one thing you can control. You can't control people saying that you're intimidating, but you can control to say, I don't care that I'm intimidating. It's a part of my character. It's added to the list. Intimidating. Now what? People like to make it seem like that is then your problem. If you are intimidated, that is not my problem. I can be intimidating, but how do you intimidate somebody? No, I really want to know. I understand someone who is, you know, manipulative, controlling, you know, that can definitely be a form of intimidation. But to just say in a general banner that you as a person are intimidating, what did I do to intimidate you? So I existed. Back to the diary. Letting go of control is actually how you attain control over your life. I'm gonna say that one more time. Letting go of control is actually how you attain control over your life. Living a life with God and for yourself. So the only way in which you can actually get to the life that you're hoping for, that you know what's funny about God is that I almost said he, she, blah, 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 mother. The reason why I don't like using God is because my first instinct and default is to say he, because that's been ingrained in me. But for me, I know God is mother. God is actually mother nature. What we've been told and taught is incorrect. We've been taught by people who are illiterate, who have limitations, and do not see the full spectrum of life. It's just that simple. So, as someone who does see the full spectrum of life and is here to teach you and tell you, like, mother is someone who is generous and giving of all things all the time, constantly. So if you do not feel fulfilled in your life, mother only has ever wanted her children, meaning my immediate family, who then birth worlds like this, right? Has only wanted her children to be larger than life, extend themselves as far as they can, and enjoy life, right? And then if you are a person and you are made in the image of God, and God is someone who is, you know, insatiable, infinite, you know, gluttonous, you know, because all of those things have been made to be negative. How? Why? Because other people want to be gluttonous. Other people want to use you so that they are gluttonous. Take every single billionaire. Don't tell me that's not gluttony. And they have the audacity to tell you to limit yourself. And you listen. You are not living in the image of God. They are. That's why they are constantly getting what they want. They are doing it, but in a negative way. They're not necessarily now a person who is the image of God, because I am. They are just, I'm saying that in terms of the gluttony part, they are. But in terms of obviously humanity, how they're treating humanity, that is not, that's anti-God, of course. Um, but that's just the best example to tell you that every question everything you've been told. That's why I called it the prison four walls, because this matrix we have is literally prison, and we are living in it, and we've been told that okay, this is all you need, this is all you have, and we don't know why we're here, we don't know anything, but just sit in this prison. I'll explain more. I'm coming. Okay, the last bit of the diary. You find yourself in the process of answering. Okay, basically, I said there's two basic human questions. Two basic human questions. And I've said this many times. Who are you? What's your purpose? That's all. That's all you need to be doing in life. Everything else that we're doing, distractions. 9 to 5s, distractions. It's sad because a lot of people don't have the time to pause, but we need to make the time, because they will not let us. They won't. That's why they want to take all of your time if you let them. Okay, this part I will read a bit later. I want to talk more about the prison four walls now. So let's start with the first one. So the first prison four wall is pain, right? Pain. Let's take the definition of pain. So I'm going to go to Google quickly because I want to define it, and then let's talk about it. So let me say definition, pain definition. Okay, so I'm taking this straight from Google, not like going to any diary or anything. Not diary, not going to any dictionary or anything, just straight on Google, right? So it says highly unpleasant and physical sensation caused by illness or injury. Cool. Mental suffering or distress. This is the pain I'm mostly talking about. An agony and, tedious person or thing. Great care or trouble. Okay, pain as a verb, cause mental or physical pain. Cool. Now we know what pain is. This was just for, you know, myself to trigger what pain is. So, mental distress. That is basically what everyone is going through. Everyone right now is in mental distress. I myself was in mental distress. I will tell you, hey, hey, mental distress will literally kill you. No, it will, because I nearly died from it. I nearly died in 2024. I've been in a space of 6 months. I've been into the hospital 3 times. That's how ill and how sick I was from living in the prison four walls. Pain, suffering, death, and fear. Pain, suffering, death, and fear. Those are what is ruling us. We are being ruled by just pain, fear, and death. We are so scared. We are so fearful of life that we're not living. And I say we because I wasn't either as a human. Now I'm good. Now you and I can teach you because I had to go through it, right? Um, so what what's funny about pain is that what I find myself, okay, what I should rather say is what I find funny for myself about pain is that my relationship with pain has been very interesting because I have many tattoos. I mean, I just got one now, like a week ago. So I have this element in myself, and I feel like maybe we all do. It's just that some people haven't quite unlocked that point yet. But I enjoy pain, physical pain. Let's be specific, physical pain in the sense that tattoos, gymming. Like I actually love the feeling of the gym where your muscles are sore. It feels like you just worked out. I went on a hike this just yesterday. Or was it the day before? Can't remember. But I basically was like enjoying that pain, just being back into it. I hadn't worked out in ages, so it's good. But pain is a teacher. Pain is meant to be a teacher, right? So pain, what happens is if you don't feel the pain and you don't deal with the pain, it turns into suffering, right? Where you're in the state of survival mode and everything that you do is in response to what's in around you, not being proactive. Again, going back to not living life. So I want to actually go to the definition of for suffering so that I can explain both pain and suffering together since we're getting there now. So suffering definition, let's go. So the definition says the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship. Okay, experience or be subjected to bad or unpleasant things, be affected by or subjected to an illness, or so being subjected. Basically, what I'm getting from suffering is being subjected to, right? Pain, distress, etc. Whereas pain itself is the distress, right? So, for an example, pain, the distress. I just got a tattoo here. I still even have the stain from that sheet that they put here. So distress initially is the initial pain, right? So when I was getting the tattoo and the needle was going in, I was in a state of distress. Okay, that's pain. But then what happens with that is that if you then let that pain define you, become who you are, or um, you know if it's so pivotal in your life, it can end up being a sense of, it can subject you to then a state of suffering, right? Whereas pain is meant to be quick, fast, in a hurry, and out. Suffering is a subjugation. It's a state of being. So therefore, you are constantly living in a pain, or you're constantly living in distress. Basically, that's the difference between pain and suffering. And both of these things were meant to teach you how strong you are. It's supposed to build you into the person who you need to be in order to realize who you are, realize what your purpose is. That's all. Pain is meant to shake your spirit such that you you are awakened in knowing what who you truly are and why you're truly here. That's what pain is meant to be. That's what suffering is meant to be. But then when you take the things that people love, like your like curated algorithms, media, um shows, all of these things, like the arts stuff, the creative stuff that angels use to communicate, when we take that um into account, people then use those things that were meant to be reminders of things that you love. Even like your PS5s, those are basically a smaller version of what angels get to experience over millennial, or gods rather. Gods get to experience over millennia, right? Over millennia. I don't know. Yeah. They get to experience that because you busy playing Grand Theft Auto there in a small scale. We play Grand Theft Auto in the world on a big scale, right? And instead of you getting to enjoy the small scale, you're using it as a state of, or as a thing of avoiding what you need to actually be working on. Because the only way you can truly appreciate what you love is once you've dealt with the pain, such that you don't even want to live in pain anymore. The thing is, once you hit rock bottom, like bottom, go all the way through the pain, feel the pain all the way to the bottom. Once you get there, there's nothing left. Like, there literally is nothing left at the bottom, and you don't want to stay there anymore. So you start getting up and you start climbing and you bleed, and then while you're climbing, you slip, okay? Because it's not perfect. I wasn't perfect. It took me 30 years, right? You climb, you slip. Oh, maybe something else hits you, and then you bottom again. Then there you are, up again. Climbing, hit. Actually, there's a video I'm going to insert. There's a video I'm going to insert right here.
Parable is told of a farmer who owned an old mule. The mule fell into the farmer's well. The farmer heard the mule braying, or whatever mules do when they fall into wells. And after carefully assessing the situation, the farmer sympathized with the mule, but decided that neither the mule nor the well was worth the trouble of saving. Instead, he called his neighbors together and told them what had happened and enlisted them to help haul dirt to bury the old mule in the well and put him out of his misery. First of all, that's ruthless.
That is
Anyways,
super ruthless.
Initially, the old mule was hysterical, but as the farmer and his neighbors continued shoveling and the dirt hit his back, a thought struck him. It suddenly dawned on him that every time a shovel load of dirt landed on his back, he should shake it off and step up. This he did blow after blow. Shake it off and step up. Shake it off and step up. Shake it off and step up. He repeated to encourage himself. No matter how painful the blows or distressing the situation seemed, the old mule thought panic and just kept right on shaking it off and stepping up. You're right, it wasn't long before the old mule, battered and exhausted, stepped triumphantly over the wall of that well. What seemed like it would bury him actually blessed him, all because of the manner in which he handled his adversity. That's life. If we face our problems and respond to them positively and refuse to give in to panic, bitterness, or self-pity, the adversities that come along to bury us usually have within them the potential to benefit and bless us.
Okay, I come back. Okay, so that covers pain and suffering in terms of the prison four walls. Okay. Okay. So let's check now. So now we are on death, right? So let's Google what death means. These ones should be quick now. Death. definition. That one should be quick, but I think fear might take some time. Okay, so death is the action or fact of dying or being killed, the end of a life or a person or an organism. It's a state of being dead, permanent ending. Okay, yeah, destruction or permanent ending of something, damaging, destructive. Okay, we get it, right? You die. So what's funny about death is that it people are so fearful of it that you don't live. Like, you know, the people who are adventure sports have something there. There's something there about, testing yourself and testing your limits and testing the bounds of yourself. Because I know for a fact that now I'm no longer fearful of death. I was fearful of death. I was fearful of dying because I felt like I had so much I needed to do. Because I always felt like I had a huge purpose, but I didn't know how to articulate that. I didn't know what it was. Um, but I always just felt like there was something I need to be doing. Like I could never feel rested because I just felt constantly agitated and constantly like I'm not getting enough things done. Why? Because I wasn't in the right place. I wasn't focusing my energy in the right place, right? Meaning what is my life's purpose and not, oh, am I the best person in the corporate industry? I don't give a fuck about that now. That I mean, whether I'm the best or not doesn't matter. Am I good at my job? Yes, I'm amazing at it. Do I care about having a job? Definitely. Like, do I care about the work that I do? Definitely. But is it now the point and focus of who I am as a being? No. And the same thing should apply about death. You know that death is inevitable. Okay, take it out of the equation then. It's inevitable. Then, now what? The reason why death is such a problem is because we fear. We are living in a state of fear. So now I'm going to put death and fear together. Let's get to that definition for fear. How can you fear something that's inevitable? Like you know it's going to happen. So why are we scared? Okay, so fear is unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of harm, danger, pain. Ha! Look at that. It's all coming to. And you know what's funny? I just thought of these things. Yes, in terms of some of these, I actually have to give credit to that book I said I was listening to, becoming more like becoming. Oh, sorry, let me just get the right book. The book is called Becoming Like God, and it's by, I'm gonna tag it in the notes. It's by Michael Berg, right? So he does talk about some of the stuff that I'm talking about. I've just articulated it in a specific way that is, specific to me and how I understand it, and have now played around with prison four walls versus life's four walls. Just as terms to help us, like I said, this whole place is just a place where we can summarize everything, and everything is like a resource. So I will tag the resource that I've used, but I've added to that resource by a mile. So fear, again, being afraid, or being afraid of someone or something as likely to be dangerous or harmful. Mixed emotions or dread, the likelihood of something unwelcoming happening, a feeling of anxiety concerning an outcome, being afraid. Okay, yeah, feeling anxiety, avoiding doing something because of being afraid. Okay, we get it, right? What I always find interesting, and maybe someone can make me understand this, right? When someone says they want a God fearing partner, what does that mean? Like, I've never understood that. Like, why are you fearing God? You are God. So you fear yourself. What? And that is exactly what life is like. That is exactly what people are doing. They fear themselves more than anyone else on this earth. You know why and how I know that? Because no one knows who the fuck they are. And if you did know who the fuck you are, you would not be fearful. I know that because I know who I am. I now no longer fear anything or anyone. Because why? Because I know who I am. I know I am here. So no one can tell me, oh, you should be doing X. Oh, I don't like it when you do X. Oh, you know, you seem very impatient, I can just be like, yeah, I am. And that's actually what I did. I think I was like 3 days ago. I was at the petrol station. It's a whole nother story. My car ran out of petrol on the side of the road. Had to walk to a petrol. Either said the life I live. Very interesting. It's that one. That part also was just for the plot. I know my mom was just literally like, she just threw that in there because I was bored, and she's like, for the plot. How about you forget about filling up your car and just, you see? And I wasn't scared. I parked there on the side of the road. Now I'm telling the story. I parked there on the side of the road. I walked, got what I needed. The guy actually helped me there. Everyone was very helpful. Because why? Because I walk with God. So because I don't fear God, why would I fear a man? Why would I fear a woman? Why would I fear human beings? Because I've met myself. I've met myself at my ugliest, at my most unattractive, at my, my darkest, my most shameful, my most guilt ridden. I've met myself at every negative emotion. And because I don't fear who I am, I don't fear anyone else. If you have anxiety, investigate it. Why are you so anxious? What are the things that are making you anxious? Ask yourself, what's going on? You're the only person with the answers. We try so hard. We go to psychologists, psychiatrists, we go to doctors, we read books, we yes, to everything. Go to the psychiatrist, go get the help, get the medication, everything, yes. But also with that, mm, 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 just bring that inwards. Ask yourself the questions all the time, constantly, until you figure it out. How do you get better at something? You keep doing it. You keep, what do they say? 10,000 hours. The reason why I'm so good at life, 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours, more than 30 years, if I'm being honest. If I'm being specific, how long has it got me? How did I get here? 30 years. And if you don't know who you are, what you're doing, you're not feeling fulfilled in life, you're living in pain, suffering, death, fear, you are not living, honey. You are surviving, and you're going to leave this earth without ever having experienced heaven, because heaven is right here. This is the destination, because we are actually celestial. We are actually souls living as celestial beings for a period of time, and then we'll hop off and go to the next planet. But no, you guys want to spend this planet suffering, pain, death, fear, the prison four walls. You literally want to live in this prison that society has created, that white men, let's be very specific, let's not mince our words. We want to live in this prison that white men have created and have told us that we need to live here, because they are actually the ones that are lacking. They are the ones that saw our beautiful black people thriving on land that was thriving, doing things like making it rain by dancing. And they were enamored, they were awed. And instead of them asking, how do I also do this? How do I gain this? No, they stripped it away, repackaged religion, and said, this is who you now need to believe in, a white man. Why? Because they were insecure, they felt insignificant, and instead of trying to build themselves, asking themselves why do they feel that way, or sharing the way our community does, we always want to share. We always, why? Because that is how God is like. Godly beings. Black people are godly beings who were always meant to teach the world. We were always meant to teach the world how to be a being, not human. White people are human. Human. All these defensiveness, all just the general, tension that they bring, it's very human. But how you be a being is taking that, seeing that, and seeing it like a toddler throwing a tantrum. That's what it is. You are all toddlers throwing tantrums. And us angels are out here laughing. We are laughing because you are missing out And it's so sad to see. We're not laughing at you, trust me, because we all went through the trenches. We know what it's like. I know what it's like. I went through physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, narcissistic abuse, your normal, friendship things, everything you can think of that a human goes through. I've been through it. Loss, grief, mourning, all of it, right? And why did I go through all of it? So that I can fully understand what it's like to be human, to live in pain, live in suffering, live in death, live in fear, live in fear. You see this one? That's killing everyone. Fear is the death of them all. That one, that ceiling, because I'm gonna say pain is here, suffering is here, and then this one is fear. Fear is two walls, if anything, because we're gonna just because that one is fear. The one in the back is death. That's your prison four walls, and you just took this box and decided, sure, I'm good. I'll take them. There's life's four walls, which is joy, mission, vocation, profession. Come on. Enough about the bad stuff, because we are not there anymore. That was 30 years ago. That was 30 years of life, and I have probably about 70 more years ahead of me, and I will then be living in life's four walls. So I don't know if you want to join me, but if you do, I hope you're listening. So what I wrote on the 1st of Feb was that pain, suffering, death, and fear are the four prison walls humans have created. This prison, which has been built, is a cage which buries between you and who you are meant to be. And then I said my quote of the day. So this quote is by me. I said, life is energy in motion towards either darkness or towards light. With the use of your compass, it's up to you to decide your final destination. So, like I said, my compass is rich: respect, integrity, character, honor. Find your own. Steal mine. Have something that is guiding you as a moral compass. So, funny enough, Christians use the 10 commandments as a moral compass. A lot of those commandments are things that angels and gods live by. I'm telling you that now. Gluttony, hmm, hmm, you guys don't even know. You are limiting yourselves because you have limited teachers who had limitations. Your teachers were toddlers, and those toddlers threw a tantrum. They burnt all our books, they burnt all our history, they rewrote the history because history is written by its victors, not the victims, right? So they rewrote the history and repackaged it to you and said, here, this is the prison four walls that you live in now, right? You took that and you just ate it and never ever questioned it, never ever thought, oh, let's try to break free, let's prison break this bitch. Nothing. Disappointed. Anyways, in it, everything is energy in motion. Depression, anxiety are a result of misalignment, basically. I'm just going to skip through that. There's no more I need to share there. Instead of focusing on the prison four walls, focus on life's four walls. Ikigai: joy, mission, vocation, and profession. So now I'm going to go into that, right? So we said that Ikigai, joy. Do what you love. Live in the moment and find joy everywhere, right? So with the do what you love, right? You can only do what it is you love once you figure out who you are and what your purpose is. So I know who I am and I know what my purpose is. So now that I know that, I can constantly, like I'm doing now, live and enjoy the thing that I'm doing. So this is how you end up enjoying the journey to whatever the goal is, because now you're no longer living in a state of pain and suffering and impatience of how your life should be. So now you're just living at in your life as it is. You enjoying your life as is, right? Then in terms of mission, so obviously with what I'm stating and sharing, you can go and do your own research, find your own things. This is just my understanding because this is my diary, this is my mind. So this stuff is available. I am only a resource to give you that small nugget of wisdom, and it's up to you to go and do the homework. I'm not here to do the homework for you. So whatever you take from this, that's great, but I'm not going to spoon feed anyone. Mission, again, That is part of my mission. I'm not here to spoon feed anyone, but I am here to teach. I'm here for everything that I've gone through in the prison four walls, for me to then teach you how to live in the life's four walls by being an example of firstly figuring out that we're within prison, and then figuring out how to prison break, because I prison broke, and then figuring out how to then live after breaking out of prison. Because as you can think, just as anyone, let's say even you served your sentence, let's just say you didn't break out, you just served your sentence, and you get out of prison. Okay, you finally get joy, mission, vocation, and profession, right? Everything you've asked for. But there's residuals. You still have the trauma from who you were already, and you've been that person for whoever knows how many years. So you still have to have a level of grace and kindness and a level of understanding that you still have to work towards more of becoming this person, because you've been the other person for 30 years who's been in pain, suffering, death, and fear. So I always have to remind myself that I'm still human. I still have that 30 years of being who I was, going through that trauma, all of that. So every now and then, that 30 person, that 30-year-old will show up every now and then, be like, oh, nope, don't want that. Because I know now, because I know what pain is, and I know what joy, extreme joy is. Real joy, real happiness, because I've seen heaven. So because I've seen heaven and I know what heaven looks like, I don't want anything to do with hell. I lived there. I was a prisoner in hell, living in the prison four walls. Don't want that shit no more. You are all living in hell, and you're all choosing it. I'm telling you that now. It's a choice. And if that affects you, makes you upset, investigate that. Yes. Why is it making you upset? Why does that bother you? That's your spirit. That's your soul. The soul is speaking to you. How about you ask it? What does it want? So that you can figure out who the fuck you are. Because you're so busy in distractions, so busy being distracted by the things you are meant to appreciate and love. Mission. That we really know that one. I'm no longer gonna. Vocation. So do what you are good at. How do you become good at something? You keep doing it. How about your vocation be you? Hmm? I just want everyone to start there. Just start there. And then we'll see about the other ones. Because I think joy and mission might be a tall ask, right? If you're living in prison, the only vocation you need is you. Let it be you. Who am I? Where am I? Oh, everything, all the time, 24/7. That's what you need to be doing. Vocation. What you're good at. Become good at you. Become good at living. Profession. What you get paid for. Your job is just your job, right? So it should not be taking up your mental state where you're overthinking. It's taking up all your time. Everything that you do is defined by work. You don't spend time with people because of work. Da da da. Work. You're not here to work. If anything, if I could tell you, my mother wants you to be here to have fun and love and do the things you love and enjoy life and all of that stuff. But no, you are all busy being distracted by the things you're meant to be loving and listening to toddlers throwing tantrums and then thinking that that is how life should be. We are meant to be living like gods. We are gods. We are made in the image of God. So we are meant to be like God. And God told me to tell you that this is bullshit. Okay, so I think that's as far as I'll go today. I'm open to still discuss this a bit more. But that's essentially, you know, the prison four walls versus life's four walls. And what I want to leave with you, I always want to leave with a question. So I say I always want to, but I never do because this is my diary. I kind of forget that you guys are here most of the time. So let's see. Okay, an important thing that I wanted to speak about, right, is the desire to always be receiving. The way that religion has been designed is the way that white people perceive how they need to experience life, which is just sitting there and receiving. Things must fall on your lap. I'll take an example. Jesus. He said, oh, one day, what he will rise, and it will be judgment day. Firstly, Jesus is a woman, me. Okay. Secondly, judgment is a person, again, me, not a day. Right. So they took my story, repackaged it, sold it to you, and told you this is who you're meant to be praising. And the person you're praising is a white man. What do you think that's doing to your mind? What do you think that's doing to your psyche? What do you think that's doing to your soul? And then, taking all the trauma that has happened to African people. What do you think that of how that affects how you think, what you do, what you say? You have been listening to toddlers telling you that you should sit back, wait for someone to come and save you, and you believed them, that you must just sit back, pray and wish and hope, and almost like a genie, almost like, why does God sound like Santa Claus, sound like a genie, sound like you only have three wishes? That's not how God works. God works through you, but you have lost connection to God. So therefore, you are just being a human. You're no longer a human being because you don't even know who the being is. You don't know who you are. So you're just human. So you guys are here having a human experience when you're meant to be having a human being experience. You're not anywhere near God. And if you were, this wouldn't affect you. This wouldn't make you feel offended. And if you are offended, you should be, because you should be listening to me. It's literally my world. Anyways, it's enough for today. What I want to just say as a parting gift is, instead of just take, how about you give? What have you given to nature, to yourself? How do you give? Learn who you are. That's giving. You're giving back to God. You say, I understand all the hard work that you've done. But no, you guys just want to take, or receive, receive, receive. That's the same thing. It can't be like that's why your answered prayers aren't being answered, because you're not living in alignment. But I'm hoping that some screws, some things, were sparked. I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really hope that whoever's listening and whoever's heard is actually paying attention and has noted these things down. I will add them as a summary in the notes. But it's such an important thing. This video is probably one of my most important ones, because everything that I'm going to speak about is literally, this is the foundation for everything else that I speak about. So listen to this again if you need to, save it if you need to, come back to it if you can't pay attention. But it is so important, and I need to have to stress that, because there's so much more that I can speak about, and it was very difficult to try and summarize this, but I have. And yeah, I might probably touch on this a bit more as I read that other book as well, because that's another resource that has helped me kind of articulate the things that I wanted to get across today. So yeah, thank you for interrupting my journey, and joining me on my video journaling. I hope that you got what you needed.